Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking us on out. Tobin here with you. Appreciate you guys checking out the channel. I have an important announcement to start things off here. I just got received a memo. Closeout Wednesday is officially delayed a couple of days. It's now going to be a Closeout Friday for our local teams. Okay, Panthers, Heat decided they wanted to get the weekend started off right, so we've pushed it back a couple of days. If you guys don't mind, Panthers, they're bringing top hats and monocles across the border. Heat, they wanted to do it in front of the home crowd. So we're looking forward to a Closeout Friday. Heat lose tonight. They fall to the New York Knicks 112-103 in a very topsy-turvy game. You get a butt-cheek tight New York Knicks team early on. Miami really isn't hitting anything either. It's one of these games where the Miami Heat weren't good on offense, but the New York Knicks were atrocious. And you get to the end of that first quarter, and it's 24-14. You're just like, all right, I think my initial reaction was, yeah, Miami looks good. Looks like they're going to, they got a tight cheek New York Knicks team. And that second quarter really turned this thing around for New York. And it really goes on the back of the man who's, I'm sure, going to be the hero of the back pages tomorrow, and then everything that he did tonight. And that was Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson was the best player on the floor tonight, star of the game. You know, the second quarter gets off to this hot start for New York. They can't be stopped. He gets an and-one, gives them the lead. And the Knicks, from that point on, was pretty much in the driver's seat of this game. Always felt like they always had the first punch. Miami had the counter punch. It was much more, back and forth in the second quarter. But one of the big things was Miami just could not stop fouling. I mean, they were hacking like crazy. They sent Randall to the line at the end of this quarter a bunch of times. When Miami got this really great play where Jimmy blocks Jalen Brunson, Bam Adebayo down the floor. Jimmy gets a miss. Bam Adebayo has this monster putback slam. Was probably the highlight of the first half, like the most aesthetically pleasing shot of the first half. But, the New York Knicks kind of were able to weather that play because Randall then would go to the free throw line and then hits the step back three, gives them the lead going into the break. So they were probably feeling in a good spot. They were able to weather the storm of this really tense first quarter where nobody was scoring, and the crowd was quiet as church mice out there in the Garden. So to put that behind them, really, I think probably put New York in this spot where they felt a little bit more life, felt a little bit of relief. And then the third quarter was, we can generally say, is where the game swung very much in the Knicks' favor. And Miami, very weird game. It really was Gabe Vincent and Kevin Love and their struggles early in this second half, where Kevin Love is getting open shot after open shot after open shot. Can't hit anything. Gabe Vincent can't hit anything. Fouling like crazy. So those two guys who have been really, key cogs, it was probably that first time where you really felt like, your role guys aren't really stepping up here. And the only guys who felt like it, and especially in the first half, the only guys who really showed up for Miami were Bam and Jimmy. Then you get to this third quarter, they're still trying to feed their guys. They're giving them nothing. And the New York Knicks are kind of climbing their lead. They're going up and up and up and up and getting themselves into a better spot. Like Gabe Vincent had a turnover. Julius Randle would convert that. Then he would foul Jalen Brunson going to the line. So it was a tough night for number two tonight. Gabe really was not playing, his best basketball at all tonight. So they need a big bounce back from him coming up. And then Kevin Love, played just 16 minutes, but he was a torpedo tonight. 4 points, 2 of 10, 0 of 7 from downtown tonight from Kevin Love. Dude was getting looks too, real open looks. Can't hit anything. Just things started going the New York Knicks way. They started hitting their shots. They were beating Miami to loose balls today. They were getting the bounces they want, so you got to give them credit. Julius Randle was hitting threes that would, dance on the rim and then drop in. Anytime Miami seemed like they were trying to get back into it, New York was able to either force their way to the free throw line, or, Miami would turn it over, or they would be a big play. RJ Barrett had a big block on Jimmy Butler at one point in the second half, so they came up with some big key defensive stops as well. So, I didn't feel like, despite the, it didn't feel like a lack of effort for Miami. It just felt like, look, this was one of those nights where things were going just a little bit towards New York's way, and a lot of that is to their credit, and the catalyst that they got from Jalen Brunson. He was absolutely awesome for that tonight. RJ Barrett, all of their main guys really gave them great performances, but Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett were sensational. I think with Jimmy and Bam, Jimmy, I think offensively you would say Jimmy's worst game of the playoffs, which is kind of an easy one to pick out because the guy has been an absolute stud offensively. And Bam, I thought was very active in that first half, was playing some great stuff, but, maybe could have gone to the well to him a little bit more when things were struggling. I can't really blame him on no showing. Like, he was 18 points, 8 rebounds tonight, but he only took 11 shots. 4. Like, Bam was good. Maybe they could have gone to that well a little bit more if we're second guessing. But Miami ends up finding themselves in this position where New York is just going off. They get the lead up to 18, 19. So they really ballooned up. It was heading towards third quarter city for Miami in a big time way. And, even with that said, Miami was still kind of hanging around by the end of the third quarter. They go into it, and Caleb Martin starts hitting a couple of big shots. They're fighting. Miami's trying to stay within these things. They get some really good shooting from Caleb Martin and Duncan Robinson. So they get that role player boost that they had been waiting for all game and really hadn't been getting. And then Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson finally start hitting some threes, and they go down into the fourth quarter. They're down 10. So you're thinking to yourself, that was an exhausting third quarter. I'm sure there was a lot of stress and in trying to even just keep that respectable. But as we have seen with this team and we had seen in the Bucks series, so you get to this fourth quarter, you're down 10. Kyle Lowry gets you off to a great start. He cuts it to single digits with a 3-point play. Jalen Brunson's able to weather that. He blows past Kyle Lowry, gets the lead back up to 12. But Low Dog, a couple Villanova Wildcats going back at it shot for shot. Kyle Lowry ends up hitting back-to-back threes with a Tibbs timeout in between. And he gets Miami to within 4. So, yeah, even with all that said, Miami is really on the cusp here of a 2-possession game with all of the terrible mistakes they've made, with all of the fouling, with the inability to corral Jalen Brunson at all. They still found themselves in this spot, and you're thinking to yourself, man, all right, maybe this is where Jimmy Butler kind of gets things going. And then Spo tries this situation where he's trying to hack Mitchell Robinson, which really doesn't work. Mitchell Robinson gets hacked twice by Spo. He hits 3 out of 4 free throws. New York Knicks are hitting him with MVP chance. But even still, Miami's not out of it. And then all of a sudden, Duncan Robinson hits another 3, dunks. Amazing game to really just give Miami any hope tonight. He was the guy. He had 5 from downtown. He had 17 points. Unfortunately had opportunities towards the end of this to give you a couple more that maybe would have swung this game or given Miami that final push to get there. Because Jimmy comes in. Jimmy starts finally getting engaged offensively, again, which was not his best offensive performance. Not a poor offensive performance. I mean, you look at it, you're like, 5 of 12, 9 of 11 from the free throw line, 19, 9 assists, 4 steals. But, look, the whole thing is they need Jimmy Butler to be the best player on the planet. And if he's not, if he's a very good player, then you're vulnerable. We've seen this. They were vulnerable in game 2. They didn't have him. This one tonight, Jimmy Butler, I would say, was a very, very good basketball player. He wasn't, as he's walked off the court the last 2 games, saying best player in the world. He was not that tonight. And even with that, still got Miami. He comes out of the Heat come out of a timeout after Jalen Brunson hit some free throws. He goes 1 of 2, and Jimmy Butler comes right out of the gate out of that timeout and hits that patented jump shot to bring him to within 3. And as soon as he hit that shot, I was like, that was the first time tonight I was like, I think Miami's going to win this game. I was thinking to myself, I don't know. They just feels like they don't have that gear to get it quite there. And when Jimmy hit that jump shot to cut it to within 3, I was like, nope, it's Jimmy time. He's going to make this happen. And then sure enough, he get a big time turnover. blocked by Jimmy on RJ Barrett. They get the ball back. He's then fouled. He makes 1 of 2 at the free throw line, gets it to within 2. Closest Miami was able to get it to 103, 101. The play that really, I think, put the dagger in it for Miami was this, where Quentin Grimes, who also was incredible today, did a really good job for New York, and he also played all 48 minutes, did all of the dirty stuff with Josh Hart basically sitting his ass cheeks the entire game because he had, I think, 4 fouls in like 6 minutes or something like that. It was crazy. But Grimes has this play where he is on Jimmy. He falls down. He looks like he's hurt. Jimmy is, gives the ball, then gets it back, and then Grimes comes in and steals the ball from him. But even with that play, it still wasn't over. Miami was able to force a turnover. Kyle Lowry sets up Bam Adebayo for a beautiful dunk. They cut it to within 4. Then they get full court up on the Knicks. I know there'll be some Heat fans saying they thought that they weren't able to get over there in 8 seconds. I'm with you, but, Miami kind of put themselves in that position anyway. Bam ends up fouling RJ Barrett. He hits the free throws. That puts him up 6. And they got a couple of looks for some threes. Kyle Lowry had some looks to try and bring it within 1 score, and they just never were able to get one to go. So that was all she wrote. That was kind of your recap for tonight. Big takeaways from today are a few things. One, props to the Knicks for showing guts. They certainly, could have wilted, and especially after that first quarter. I really thought, honestly, that was my thought going into this, is if they don't have a good first quarter, I thought that was probably going to break them because I thought New York and the Mecca was going to get a little stagnant. I thought a little restless, maybe even some boo birds. And it really just kind of was just restless. So they never really got to that point. Props to them having such a strong start to the second quarter. But, look, I think Miami played obviously their worst game of the playoffs this year. This is because, the Bucks game, that was a weird game. They hit a bazillion threes. The game 2, no Jimmy Butler. So this is really the first game where it's like, hey, there's no excuses. You're at full strength. You have Jimmy, and you just weren't good enough tonight. You just made too many mistakes. You couldn't make any good shot. It took you too long to start making shots, and New York really made you pay. I mean, they certainly had a huge tilt at the free throw line tonight. But that was noticeable from the start. I mean, you had a ton of guys in foul trouble. You were getting in foul trouble early. They were in the bonus early. I'm doing this before Spo talks. I don't know if he'll complain about it. I doubt that he will. Yeah, there was a huge tilt in free throws. It was 29-40 for New York, and it was 16-19 for Miami. But I got to say, Miami really had to live and die with the 3 tonight, and they really, really had to do that when they were down to even have a prayer in this game. So there really just wasn't that impact. And then from Jimmy's standpoint, Jimmy was basically the only guy who got to the line tonight for Miami. Bam, didn't really force the issue there. And then everybody else was basically chucking up threes. So, but is my confidence shaken that this thing is not going to get done on Friday? No, not at all. Miami's been awesome in their building. I expect that a lot of the role guys will play a lot better. I expect better games from Kevin Love, from Gabe Vincent. And mostly I expect a better game from Jimmy. I think that Jimmy had some moments where you thought he was going to crank into Jim VP mode. You thought he was going to be that guy, the guy who was giving the ominous look over the city as he's going to the arena tonight. Some people are sitting here, they think that, his ankle was bothering him. I don't know. I felt like he was getting to the rim okay. The thing that really I was surprised, we didn't see him he didn't have the lift on the jump shot, I guess, as much. You didn't see him go to that well as much today. I didn't think Jimmy went into this game with that killer instinct. I really do feel like Jimmy was trying to force his shooters. He was given, Kevin Love and all these guys trying to get them involved, trying to get them going, trying to get them confident. We didn't see that Jimmy Butler who was absolutely trying to, set the building ablaze. That's not who was there tonight. Like I said earlier in the video, he just wasn't the best player on the planet tonight, which he has been for basically the entire playoffs. Hell, even Devin Booker had an off night after he's shooting a gazillion %. eventually these guys are going to run into one where they don't look quite superhuman. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that coming into game 6, closeout game in their building, this is what you benefit from stealing that home court and taking care of your home court. Miami's yet to lose on their home court this year. I feel pretty confident that Miami's going to get this thing done. To put this much pressure on the Knicks all the way down to the wire, and I think get like a C plus B game from Jimmy Butler, a B game from Bam Adebayo, an F from your other starters, and, Duncan Robinson kind of willing your way to even make this scary. And they needed like an unreal game from Jalen Brunson, an unreal game from RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes playing every single minute of the game. Still think Miami's the better team. Still think they get it done on Friday. Not sweating it. Certainly having this chance to close things out. Frustrating for sure, because you were still there at the end, so you're always going to think about those plays here and there and what got you there. But you can't put yourself in those holes. The New York was able to always seemingly have that next play where they have in this series. They've been really, really shaken out of their shoes for the most part this entire series, and now they get to fight another day. So closeout Wednesday again, officially postponed till Friday. We'll see you guys in the Heat's house and wrap this puppy up. I will say I was bummed. I did have my gin and my top hat ready. I did predict Heat in 5 for this series. Look, you can't win them all. I was off by a game last series where I said it was going to be Heat in 6 against the Bucks. It was Heat in 5. Perhaps I missed this one by a game as well. So looking forward to Friday night.